All right, let's talk about proper irrigation watering techniques. And I got to tell you, there is no way without an irrigation system on a timer that I would be able to take care of this very, very small yard with its intricate landscape. So let's talk about the ins and outs of good watering techniques. All right, let's start out with some watering words of wisdom. I'm going to give you a goal. And the goal is, it's not how much water does this plant need. Rather, how little water does it take to keep this plant healthy? And understanding the difference between overwatering and underwatering may very well be one of the most important things you do in terms of growing a healthy, successful plant. Man, hand watering sure does get you in touch with your plants. But boy, it's about the most inefficient way to water your plants. One time, you may very well get it just right. But next time, the result is, I don't know where I left off, so, oh well, I'll just give it some more water. More can't hurt anything, can it? Well, as a matter of fact, overwatering does hurt. So consistency does become a concern with hand watering. And one of the things you need to be aware of is this area down here in the bottom of the container is very, very dark. Oxygen doesn't flow down here readily. And as well, it doesn't drain out fast the holes that we have in the bottom of the can. So this becomes almost a no man's land for root growth. And if you're overwatering, this just can accumulate, it can grow. If we're overwatering, we can get a dead area that could be almost half the size of the entire height of the can. Well, the same is true for watering in the ground. But it's much more difficult for me to determine whether I'm watering too much or too little. I'll determine that before the next watering when I check to dig down into the ground to see how well this watering did. It's been about 10 days since we last watered, and so I'm going to dig a hole in this root zone here, roughly around, well, maybe 10 inches deep with my trowel, and I'm going to take and see how that irrigation did that I put on 10 days ago. I think we ran it for an hour 10 days ago, and I've got Netafim drip irrigation around here with emitters every 12 inches, and they run 1 gallon an hour. So roughly I probably put 10 gallons of water on these trees about 10 days ago. And as you can see, this soil is still really quite saturated. And man, I have that heavy clay soil, so it cakes really, really easy. So I have to be careful about overwatering it. It makes it very difficult to adjust when I'm hand watering too, because how do I add water and how much water do I add to get that penetration down deeper? If I have a time clock, then of course I adjust the clock to add more time if I think that I need more water. But on the other hand, if I think I'm overwatering, I turn that clock back, or I change my scheduling so that I reflect the fact that there's too much water in the ground and these plants really aren't thriving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of days to the clock. I'm not going to water today. I'm going to add a couple of days to the clock and come back and I'll recheck it to see in a couple of days if I can add another day or two. Of course, we save on water and on resources by extending the time between watering. And of course, you know, keep in mind this wonderful mulch that I have on here. This helps to take and cut down on the amount of evaporation that takes place in between watering as well. So no matter how I apply my water, I'm going to want to check between waterings, like just before the next watering, to see how well my last watering did. And the way you do that is by using this finger. I'm going to push this finger down into my soil, whether it be in the ground or in a can, and I'm going to take and feel that soil to take and determine whether or not I should be watering right now or adding a day or two. So I take this finger and I take and push it down into that soil line and feel down inside there and get an idea that, well, guess what? That looks pretty moist. That looks like it's still pretty wet. I figure I can extend my period between watering here. I can add a day or two before I'll consider either running my irrigation or hand watering it again. Always try to take and find what is the least amount of water that you need to keep your plant healthy and productive. Because remember, it's not how much water do these plants need. Rather, it's how little water do these plants need to be healthy and productive. That's our goal.